In this video, you will learn the secrets to transforming your relationship into the confident, secure, and loving relationship you deserve. So, if you're in a relationship but often worry that he will stop loving you, or you worry that he might leave you, then these 3 psychologically based tips are perfect for you. That's because these steps will bring him closer to you and wanting to make you feel the love and security you deserve. Don't go anywhere because we're starting right now. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Antonio Borrello and I'm a psychologist and a relationship coach. This channel is all about helping you build great relationships so you can grow happy with the people you love. So if you're interested in making your love life the best part of your life, keep watching to learn how to transform your relationship and get the closeness and intimacy you deserve. First, I need to say that if you apply the 3 steps that I talk about in this video, you're going to have the loving and committed relationship you deserve. That you can count on. And the reason these steps work is because they are based on years of research on adult attachment theory and understanding your own attachment style. And that starts with answering some questions about your relationship style. So listen carefully and decide if each of these statements is true for you. Number 1, I often worry that my partner will stop loving me. True or false? Number 2, I fear that once he gets to know the real me, he won't like who I am. True or false? Number 3, I often worry that he might become interested or attracted to someone else. True or false? Number 4, if I show him how I really feel, I'm afraid he won't feel the same way about me. True or false? Number 5, I spend too much time thinking about or worrying about my relationship, especially when I don't hear from him enough. True or false? Number 6, I tend to get quickly attached to the person I'm dating. True or false? Number 7, I'm very sensitive to his moods. I quickly notice if he's acting cold or distant and worry that I may have done something wrong. True or false? Number 8, during a conflict, I impulsively say or do things that I later regret. True or false? Number 9, when he's unavailable, I get an anxious feeling and have difficulty concentrating on other things. Sometimes I call or text excessively until I reestablish contact. True or false? Number 10, I find myself keeping score. I pay attention to how long it takes him to respond to calls or texts, and I wait just as long to return his, or I wait for him to call or text me first. True or false? Number 11, I have engaged in manipulative acts to get his attention. I sometimes act busy or ignore his texts or try to make him jealous in some way. True or false? Now, it's normal to have some of these thoughts, especially in the beginning of new relationships. But if you've answered true to many of these questions, you probably have an anxious attachment style and may be dealing with relationship anxiety. And relationship anxiety can cause you to self-sabotage and destroy your relationship. In other words, you end up causing the thing that you're most afraid of. So before you let that happen, use these steps to turn things around and get the love, closeness, and reassurance you need. Number 1, identify your critical beliefs. All of us have an inner voice which provides a running verbal monologue of thoughts while we're awake. Your inner voice is basically your sense of self and your stream of consciousness. As we grow up and experience things, our patterns of thoughts and behaviors, both good and bad, get organized into what psychologists call schemas. Schemas are our deeply entrenched beliefs about ourselves and the world. These schemas determine how we think, how we feel, how we act, and how we relate to ourselves and to others. And very often, people have developed maladaptive or negative schemas such as self-defeating life patterns of perception and negative and critical beliefs about themselves. And of course, these maladaptive schemas guide your inner voice and your beliefs and behaviors as you get into relationships. This critical inner voice can make you turn against yourself by promoting hostile and paranoid and suspicious thinking that lowers your self-esteem and drives unhealthy levels of distrust and anxiety. Let me give you an example of how this works. Let's say you recently started dating a man. Perhaps it's been a month or so, and he's been thoughtful and interested and consistently making plans with you. Things have been wonderful. Usually you see him on weekends, and you've been on a few dates on a weekday as well. Okay, now this part is super important. Let's say you already have established plans with him for Friday and Saturday night. But today is Wednesday, and this morning on the phone, he mentioned that he was going to try to get out of work early and maybe the 2 of you could get dinner together. However, later during the day, he texts you and tells you that he has to work late and he's really tired. Now, what are the things that are going to go through your mind? If you have an anxious attachment style, your critical voice will say, "Where's he really? I bet he doesn't really have to work late. Maybe he's going out with friends instead of going to dinner with me. Maybe he just doesn't want to see me. Last week he wanted to see me even though he worked late. Maybe he's losing interest." Can you relate? These thoughts can snowball in your mind until you're feeling insecure and furious or paranoid, and that will now influence your interactions with him. You may start to engage in protest behavior or disengage or act angry or cold, and this sets him off to feel frustrated and defensive. Pretty soon, you've completely shifted the dynamic between you two, and it makes you further investigate and analyze everything that happens between you. And all of this is happening because your attachment system has become activated and caused you to go down the rabbit hole of critical and negative beliefs. It distorts your thinking, it causes anxiety, and it leads you down a destructive path that may cause you to act in ways you later regret. So, the first step in changing this relationship anxiety is to identify and get to know your critical inner voice. What is it telling you? And this is super important. You have to identify and acknowledge this inner voice, but you must remember that this thought process, this critical inner voice, is not a reflection of reality. It is a viewpoint that you've adopted based on your anxious attachment system. You must learn how to catch yourself each and every time these negative thoughts creep into your mind. And most importantly, you cannot allow yourself to immediately or impulsively act on these negative thoughts. Instead, do number two. Number two, set a freakout deadline. What I really want to say here is don't act on your impulses no matter how anxious you get. But that's easier said than done. See, as you're going through this change process, you're going to be confronted by situations that activate your attachment system and provoke you to engage in your old ways of thinking and acting. Telling yourself not to act on your impulses might work for some people, but I've found that setting a freak-out deadline is a great strategy too. So, how do you do it? When you're confronted by a situation or something seems to be going wrong, rather than reflexively panicking and following your old script, set a deadline for when you will allow yourself to deal with it. For example, let's say you've texted your boyfriend and it's been a few hours, but he still hasn't responded to you. Instead of panicking and calling or texting him incessantly, tell yourself that you will be fine with things for the time being, and if you don't hear from him by tomorrow, then you can deal with it. Then put your phone away and give yourself a mental break. Chances are that he will text or call you back with an explanation of why he was unavailable. In other words, if you make that deal with yourself, if you just buy yourself some time, you will often find that the situation resolves itself without having to do anything. And you also avoid engaging in needy behaviors that you later regret. And if the situation doesn't resolve itself, you turn to step 3. Step 3, effectively communicate your needs. If you have an anxious attachment style, chances are that you will frequently experience some anxiety and insecurity about the relationship, especially when it's new. It's normal to want reassurance from your partner, but if you have an anxious attachment style, you might express your needs in a way that pushes your partner away. So, how do you go about communicating your needs without seeming too needy or clingy? Well, here are some helpful guidelines. When you start to feel bothered by something your man has said or done, it's important to recognize that your attachment system has been activated. You'll know that this is happening because it's that familiar but dreaded feeling where you are flooded with negative emotions and you start to think in extremes. That's when you know you're in the danger zone. That's when thoughts can spiral out of control. And that's when you are most vulnerable to engage in protest behaviors or to act out. That's when you might text or call him like crazy or become convinced and accuse him of cheating. So when you recognize this feeling, you need to stop yourself from acting and go back to number 2 and number 1. Again, stop yourself. Set a freakout deadline. Figure out what your real needs are and calm yourself down. Only after you are calm can you effectively communicate your needs in a genuine and honest way. The point here is to focus on expressing your needs while taking his well-being into account as well. Focus on what you are trying to accomplish, not on your partner's shortcomings, and be specific. So, for example, you might say something like this: I need to feel connected and confident in this relationship. When you don't call and check on me every day, I miss you a lot and feel insecure. So express your needs in an assertive and non-apologetic way. That's super important. Assertively state what your needs are without apologizing for having them. They're your feelings and they are valid. Remember, no one has the right to tell you how you should or should not feel. No one can tell you that your feelings or needs are invalid. And that brings me to the most important part of the whole video. Effectively communicating your needs and feelings to your partner allows you to immediately judge how important your well-being is to him. So, as you're communicating a need with him, Ask yourself these questions. Does he try to understand your concerns? Does he take your concerns seriously, or does he try to invalidate your feelings or belittle you or make you feel stupid for having those feelings? Is he acting defensive, or is he really trying to find ways to be helpful? If you express your feelings and your needs and your man tries to evade them or acts defensively or makes you feel foolish or needy, then you should see this as a huge red flag of problems to come. On the other hand, if your man is responsive and genuinely concerned about your happiness and helping to reassure you, it's likely you're in a relationship with a man with a secure attachment style. And that's a great thing, because you will feel so relieved by knowing how strongly he feels about you. And this will strengthen the trust and bond between you. In fact, being in a relationship with a securely attached person will raise your level of security. And by strengthening your relationship, you weaken anxiety's grasp. And then you both win. And there's one more thing. A lot of women come to me and tell me, Dr. Antonio, I've watched your videos and I understand the ideas, but I think I just need help specifically with my situation. Is there any way I can work with you one-on-one? And I totally understand, and maybe you're in a similar situation. Maybe you want me to personally help you and walk you through your situation. Because if we work together, we can make sure you get the love and committed relationship that you truly deserve. So I don't normally do this, but if you feel like you want me to personally help you with your specific situation, then you can click the link in the description below and you can apply to work with me one-on-one. And I want to make this clear. I've helped women in almost every possible situation and relationship you can imagine. So maybe there's a special guy in your life, but you just want him to commit to you so you can get married one day. Or maybe you're divorced and you're just looking to have the right man in your life. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship or situation you're in right now, even if there's no man at all, but you just want to find the right one. Well, this is for anyone who wants personal help from me in their specific situation. So click the link in the description below and you'll be taken to a page with a short video. Then you can apply to work with me directly. I hope to be working with you soon.